Ethereum has started its correction. We're likely to be sideways to down for 2 to 4 weeks. But today I'm going to give you some exact dates using something called Fibonacci time. It's one of the closest things that you're ever going to get to a crystal ball of forecasting dates for a correction. So if you like today's content, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Let's dive straight into Ethereum. So I did a video on Ethereum the last one was on July 29th. And we're anticipating a high, right? And what we said, as you see in the video, is we are at or near a high for Ethereum, and we should be on high alert. And we're anticipating that this may be the high, and then some movement to the downside. Now we're going to see that we did actually end up getting a higher high over here, but now it looks like the correction has begun. And now we're going to look at the price action, but more importantly, the time, how long a healthy correction normally takes, and it's very, very, very reliable. So this is the up-to-date information on Ethereum. Actually, let's just focus on the pattern position. So what most people don't realize is that markets are driven by fear and greed, and that's displayed in the price action in 5s and 3s. And by the way, everything that I'm going to cover today, you can actually have access to my chart. If you want to have access to this chart, I think it's here. Here we go, this one here. You can actually download the chart for free. You can do view only, so you'll see all my chart setups with all the settings, all the Elliott wave drawings, Fibonacci price, Fibonacci time, and you can also upload it into your own trading view. So you'll see that Ethereum is now included along with some others as well. So what are we looking at over here? So what I want to get across today is a couple of things. First of all, this move to the downside, this over here, which we've been anticipating for a few weeks now, is bigger than any other move to the downside in this sequence. In other words, it's bigger than this move, it's bigger than this move, it's bigger than this move, it's bigger than this move. So this is something called an overbalance of price, and it's one of the first big clues that we've got a reversal in our trend and that we've got an end of a 5-wave sequence to the upside. So we should anticipate a correction. So I've drawn this green box over here, and it's Fibonacci price. This is the typical minimum price zone it will go to. So we should anticipate Ethereum getting at least to $1,450, possibly even as low as $1,100. But we're also going to talk about some dates as well. So what I want you to realize is we're going to use 2 degrees accounts, right? And this is what we want to cover today. We've got this move here, which is a 1, 2, what looks like a 3, 4, and a 5. A nice 5-wave sequence to the upside. But within this 5-wave sequence, you see these corrections like an A, B, C correction. It's a 3-wave correction. Let me make it a bit clearer here. This 3-wave correction over here. This actual 3-wave correction over here. All right, well, after a 5-wave sequence, what typically occurs is another 3-wave correction, but of a larger degree. In other words, bigger than the former 2 corrections. And this is where we get this green box from. I'm going to give you the 2 dates, the earliest that we should anticipate the correction to complete and the typical latest that a correction for Ethereum should complete. So if we measure how long in time it's taken for this to form, literally measuring the time, the number of dates, or number of days, should I say. So we're talking about from June, let's have a look at what was the date. June 18th, all the way to August 14th. And if we measure 38%, 38.2, which is Fibonacci ratio, to 61.8% of that and project it forward in time, that's typically actually how long it takes a correction to form. And what I mean by that, so why I'm showing you this is we want to be clear that even though this has taken out swing lows and is a big move to the downside, it's too short in both price and time for it to be at the end of a correction to anticipate a continuation. It can, but it's very unlikely. We're more than likely going to get something like this, a correction to the correction, and then a third leg down. And the 2 dates that you want to be aware of is the typical minimum time is the 5th of September, and the typical maximum time, most common, is the 18th of September. So we're talking about 2 to 4 weeks sideways to down. Now, as this unfolds, if the market does unfold like this and we get to this point here and it starts to go down, we can then very much narrow down what date it's likely to end and at what price by doing further analysis on this. So with with Ethereum, using Elliott wave and Fibonacci price and time, we can deduce that sideways to down for 2 to 4 weeks, comfortably. Unless this high gets exceeded, which is unlikely till then. Unless this high gets exceeded, we might need to reevaluate. But again, just anticipate 3 legs to the downside. With the momentum position, now I don't know how familiar you are with momentums. There are thousands of momentum indicators. By far, my favorite is the stochastics RSI, because it's a simple blue and red line. And it just tells us that we're probably going to get sideways to up overall over the next few days. So we're probably going to see some type of movement like this. And it's likely that we're not going to exceed this high. It could, but it's unlikely. And what's more likely to happen is that we get this third leg to the downside past the 5th of September and past $1,450 in Ethereum. If that's the case, then it's likely that we're probably going to see the end of a correction and then a continuation. Why are we confident in a continuation for Ethereum? Well, normally, when you've got a 5-wave impulse to the upside, you'll typically get at least a 3-wave correction. Again, more often than not, we're doing probabilities and never certainties. After this 3-wave correction, normally you'll see a continuation of the former trend. This being the former trend, and then a continuation up. But we're probably going to see a deep correction. I wouldn't be surprised if we see it testing the 1100 mark. But again, we'll let the data unfold, the price unfold. There will be some shorting opportunities over here that I see. But then again, nice patience. I'm going to finish on one other thing over here. I'm going to pop out. So I normally have a 4 chart set up. And in the top left-hand corner, I use my weekly chart. And I just want to zoom into the weekly chart. And what I want to emphasize is the current momentum position of the weekly momentum. So the trend is your friend. We want to ride it until its end, until it reaches its bend. And what momentum indicators can do for us is give us a massive clue on what is the higher degree trend. And right now, we can see with Ethereum, the last time the blue line crossed below the red, the price was clearly sideways to down, right? Clearly. And now we've got this another blue line crosses below the red. So what should we anticipate? Well, it's sideways to down for, again, 2 to 4 weeks until this weekly momentum is below the 25 level, basically means below this black line over here. That tells us then the correction should be close to an end, and then we may get a continuation. So let me just correct myself. Because this part is impulsive, this part here is impulsive, we're probably going to get a correction that we shouldn't see this low get exceeded. We can, but it's more than likely we're just going to see a correction and then a continuation to the upside. And by the way, if you want this exact, I'm going to clean up this and let me get rid of these arrows. I like to keep my charts as clean as I can. But if you'd like to get all these settings with the charts, you can actually now download the chart and get it for free. And you'll get the Ethereum chart and some others with their latest analysis as well, just to give you a heads up. So the 5th of September to the 18th, sideways to down, is the high probability outcome. So I want to finish on a quote. You can now actually download my book for free. Every chapter I start with a quote. And on chapter 3, we're going to focus on Confucius. And he says this: it does not matter how slowly you go, as long as you do not stop. As long as you do not stop. So what I covered today is quite high level. Quite high level in the sense of, we covered Elliott wave pattern on 2 degrees. We covered some Fibonacci time, which most people are absolutely unaware of, and is often the missing piece to most people's trade plans. We covered some Fibonacci price as well, and some momentum. But they're the 4 things. And if you can just start practicing those 4 things over time, and just repetition, so it doesn't matter how slowly you go, as long as you do not stop. And then you'll be able to see things in the market that most people cannot see. And one of my favorite sayings in trading is the trend is your friend. Ride it until its end, until it reaches its bend. And right now, Ethereum looks like it's reached its bend on the upside, and we're going to be sideways to down for, 2 to 4 weeks, right? 5th of September to the 18th of September. But as the pattern becomes more and more clear, we'll do some more detailed Elliott wave analysis and Fibonacci price analysis. And there's some other Fibonacci time factors that we can add in once we get more data. So if you like today's video, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Let me know what you want me to cover next. But we're going to keep a very, very close eye on Ethereum. But remember, trend is your friend. Ride it until its end, until it reaches its bend. Sideways to down for 2 to 4 weeks is the high probability outcome.